Hi, I'm V, and I'm on a mission to progress from an intermediate guitarist to a better intermediate guitarist. In this video, I'll give a quick progress update, including discovering triads and how this has helped me to understand how spicy chords are made. I'll also give a progress update on the 3-day practice block approach and a quick update around Lenny. A quick note before we begin, I decided to make these progress updates on a fortnightly basis rather than weekly. I've realized that doing this weekly will quickly start to feel pretty repetitive, probably for both you and for me. Plus I wanted to create more space to allow for deeper dives on specific topics, like how triads have been really eye-opening for me. So back to the recap. Let's start with a quick overview of triads. At the end of week 1, I decided to add a warm-up that focused on finding major triads across the fretboard. This went a heck of a lot further than I expected. While playing with them, I decided to experiment with also the relative minors of both the D major and the E major scales. For those of you who are unfamiliar with this concept, the relative minor is the 6th note on a major scale. So for example, with the D major, the 6th note is B minor. So D, that's the 1st note, 2, 3, 4. That's the 6th. Which is the B minor, and you'll recognize the B minor there. This also goes the other way, where the relative major is the 3rd note on a minor scale. So for example, again, we've got our B minor. 1, 2, 3. There's our D major. They are relative because they share the same scale notes, just starting from a different position. I will delve more deeply into this in a dedicated video. For now, the big aha moment for me was a deeper understanding of how chords are actually built. For example, in experimenting with the neo-soul style of music, which incorporates a lot of 7ths and 9ths, what I realized is that D major 9 is simply the root note, the 3rd, the 7th, and the 9th. So here is the D major 9th chord here, which is a really beautiful chord. And that's made up of the root note, or the 1st, the 3rd, the 7th, and the 9th. Now, knowing the relative major and minor, and knowing that the 6th is here on the D major scale was really great. It was really useful because it was a bit of an aha moment for me around why the 7th and the 9th fit so well here. Now this is different to the D add 9, which incorporates the notes of the major triad, so the root, the 3rd, and the 5th instead of the 7th, with the 9th added. So the root, the 3rd, the 5th, and the 9th. That's a bit of a stretch, I can't do that on the D. However, you will recognize the C add 9 open chord. So rather than the standard C, you've got this C add 9. I've always known this theoretically, but it's really cool to see how this is actually built on the fretboard, especially in relation to the scale patterns that overlay them. My goal over the next fortnight is to explore these concepts further and start making conscious musical choices, such as selecting chord progressions and then experimenting with different voices. This takes me to how the 3-day blocks are going and how what I've been discovering in triads links perfectly together with what I'm learning in the pathways. It's a pretty happy accident, I guess. If you're unfamiliar with this, with what my 3-day blocks are, check out the game plan video which I shared at the beginning of this adventure. In the neo-soul pathway, new and really quite challenging chords were introduced. However, what was really interesting was the exploration of chord progressions and why they work. For example, the chord progression 2-5-1 and how this creates tension and then release. So if we start at the 2, we head to the 5, that builds tension, and then we resolve at the 1, which acts as a release. It's like coming home to relax. So I can do this with a major 2-5-1, like I did before. And I can also do it with a minor 2-5-1, and they fit together quite nicely. trying to link this exploration with triads and the different chord voicings that I mentioned earlier. In the late intermediate pathway, it continued reinforcing the three hats that guitarists play, including harmony, rhythm, and melody, using different backing tracks and chord progressions. I finished off grade 1 for both pathways, including submitting a performance piece for feedback. That was the one at the beginning of this video. This is what I submitted for the late intermediate pathway. Finally, progress on Lenny. First, I'm really excited to share that I found a Lenny tone on the Pod Go that I'm relatively happy with. It does still need a bit of tweaking, but it's a good starting point. I won't go into it here because I've actually made a separate video which I shared last week, so go check that out if you're interested. I've also reached the end of the 4-part lesson by Carl Brown from Guitar Lessons 365. From here, I plan to keep playing along with the song until I get it right, or at least decent enough. I'm using voices, I think that's how you pronounce it, to focus on areas where I'm struggling, with a recording I grabbed from vinyl as a backing track. I've also decided to give myself a deadline to share Lenny end to end on YouTube, and I'm aiming for around October. I know this seems like quite a while away. There's 2 reasons for it. The first is that I've just put a deposit down on a piece of equipment that I'm really excited about, and I actually want to use it for the recording. I've been told that it might arrive in September, fingers crossed. I'll share a little bit more about it when we get closer. The other reason is I want to make sure that I understand how copyright works, just because I really don't want to accidentally breach them when I upload it. So that's it. I'm really enjoying this adventure. If you want to support me on this journey, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one.